welcome to this week's GuitarQuest lesson. So we are back on it after Easter. So I hope you all had a great break, fully recharged, done lots of guitar practice, all that kind of thing. And yeah, we are going to continue with GuitarQuest 4. Before Easter, we got up to working on that trilogy of blues tunes, so we'll probably recap those today and then move on to some newer stuff as well. So before we get started, just a quick reminder, if you've got any devices in the room that might ping notifications at you, then please turn them off so we get our dedicated half an hour's guitar time. If there's any children watching, then I just recommend having an adult in the room just to help explain a few of the ideas in case they find it a bit tricky. And what was the other one? Oh yes, we have the chat function. So please do just fire away with questions if you have any, and I will do my best to answer them as we go through. So without further ado, let's check our tuning, make sure it's all good. So again, I'll talk you through the process based on tuning it by ear. So we've done this for the last few weeks, so hopefully it's kind of making sense. We'll go perhaps a little bit quicker with it today. So we check the 6th string. So I know that's in tune, just hopefully make sure yours sounds the same as that. And then when you're confident it is, we'll go to the 5th fret, that's our note A, that's correct. Compare the open 5th string to that and adjust that as needed. Then when you're confident with that, you play the 5th string 5th fret, which is the D. So compare the open 4th string to the D on the 5th string, and then adjust until they sound the same. Then the same thing on the next string, so we play the 4th string 5th fret, which is the G, and then compare your open 3rd string to that, and and then adjust it until it sounds the same. And then if this is the only one that's any different, we're going to go to the 3rd string 4th fret, this is the B, so we now know this is the correct note, so we compare the 2nd string to the 3rd string 4th and adjust the 2nd string until it sounds the same. And then finally we come back to the 5th fret on the 2nd string, which is the note E, and that's correct now, or at least we think it is, we hope it is. And then you compare the open 1st string to it, and then adjust the 1st string until it sounds the same. Now obviously I've talked us through that relatively quickly, so I've gone over this in more detail certainly in the early GuitarQuest 4 lessons, so do refer back to that if that was a bit quick. But what you'll probably find, rather than playing it once and then adjusting and getting it right, is you probably have to do it a few times, until you feel you've got it. And then once you have, we want to strum a couple of chords just to kind of double check it really. So let's strum a G chord. For that you can go with the 4-finger G or the 3 fingers, doesn't really matter. Yeah, just try that, have a listen to it. Trying to develop the ears a little bit as well, so listening to what you're playing and thinking, does it sound like it's in tune, does it sound like something's off, and then go back and adjust and check the tuning again and adjust it as needed. Okay, let's try a D chord as well, so nice easy D. Again, just listening out, one chord can sound in tune and then you strum another chord and something sounds a bit off. So it's quite, when you're tuned by ear, it's very iterative. So don't think you're going to get it right necessarily first time. Amazing if you do, but more often than not, you'll probably find you think you got it right, you adjust a little bit, and then you strum a couple of chords, and then you adjust again, and then the same kind of thing. And eventually you get to wherever you're happy with. But obviously we do have electronic tuners, digital tuners, so if you're really struggling, just turn one of those on and check it. So, okay, so let's leave that there. As I mentioned at the very start, over the last few weeks, like prior to Easter, we were working on this blues trilogy. We've been through the 3 tunes that are going to combine together to sort of create our sort of larger blues tune, if you like. So those are exercises 10, 11 and 12 from GuitarQuest 4. So we've been over these in previous lessons, so what we're going to do today is just have a play through each of them. Hopefully they'll all be fine, and if you find any of them difficult, just go back and watch the older lessons, and we'll go through in a lot more detail there, and then we'll get on to something new. So without further ado, let's get on to Sunken Blues, exercise 10 in GuitarQuest 4. It's on page 8. So the thing to remember, we're in 6/8 time, so 6 quaver beats to the bar, and everything's one sounding like groups of 3s, so sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that kind of thing. We've got 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp. There's not too many of them in the pieces anyway, so yeah, but keep an eye out for them in case they do crop up. We've got the repeat mark as well, so we'll play the repeat and we'll just see how we go really. So let me know how you get on afterwards, and if you want me to go over it again, then I can do, but otherwise we'll just be moving on. So okay, here we go. Starting on exercise 10 then. So after 6, let's move that a bit. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. Okay, great. So that's exercise 10, Sunken Blues. Hopefully that went well. If it did, give yourself a pat on the back. We played that at a fairly slow pace, really. So do check out the backing tracks which are on my YouTube channel, and you can play them faster, and obviously you can slow them down and things as well if you need to. So okay, so that's exercise 10. So we are going to go on to exercise 11, blues down under. Before we do, just need to recap that B7 chord. So we talked about this again a couple of weeks ago, but just to make sure you're happy with it, I'm going to put the middle finger on the 5th string 2nd fret, first finger on the 4th string 1st fret, third finger on the 3rd string 2nd fret, and your pinky finger on the 1st string at the 2nd fret. And when we play the B7, we're going to strum from the 5th string and strum all the way down to the 1st. So we get that nice kind of crisp, clear sound, hopefully. So in exercise 11, in bar 9, we've got that B7 chords. So when you're looking at bar 9 there, although you might see it as a series of separate notes, you've got the B followed by the D sharp, then an A and B played at the same time. Notice the pinky finger doesn't have to be down for this particular one because we're not actually strumming. You can do whatever you want there, so put it down if you want or not, it's up to you. But my point was that although the notes are written individually, what we want to kind of think about is that if we make that shape, then those notes ring into each other and it all sounds nice. If we treat them as very separate, you get that kind of thing, and you can probably hear it just sounds a little bit more fragmented and that kind of thing. And so that's not what we want. So our goal nearly always when we're playing is to make everything sound smooth. So yeah, just do your best with that. And yeah, that gets played again in bar 12 as well, so watch out for that one. And also bar 14, we've got a strum on the B7 there. So so it's 3 occasions where it crops up. Okay, so let's have a go from the beginning. Again, we're in 6/8 time, so it's going to follow a very similar kind of idea. As mentioned before, we talked about how to play this one in previous lessons. We also talked about adding some variations in, like that kind of thing, which you're very welcome to do, obviously, because you're all playing individually at home, or at least I assume you are. So, you know, if you were playing in a group setting, you might all want to be playing the same thing. You'd probably get away with it, actually, even if you did add those variations. But yeah, so be creative with it. If you feel confident, add that extra note in, or any of the other variations we talked about, and just kind of see how you go. As long as you make the changes in the right place, then it should all work. So at least that's how I look at it anyway. So okay, let's give it a go. Don't forget the repeat, and let's see how we get on. Okay, so after 6 then, remember, second position typically, so we're going to be first finger at the 2nd fret to make these stretches a bit easier for ourselves. Okay, here we go then. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Change to the A. Back to the E. B7 coming up. B7 again. Back to beginning. Then we change to the A. Back to the E, and we go to the B7, second time bar, last line, strum the B7, and then we finish on an E major chord. Cool, okay, so as before, give yourself a pat on the back if that went well. It's you know, blues progression is very standard kind of thing. So when I was shouting out like play, you know, the E, it's that bit because it's a variation really on the E chord. And then when we went to the A, it's the same kind of thing. So so those, what we were playing there is all just kind of variations on, well, not variation, sort of are. They're basically just, we're implying the chords. So so that's what's going on there, hence me shouting that out. So anyway, hopefully that makes sense, but do ask if it doesn't. And what we're going to do is turn the page and go on to exercise 12, so shipwreck blues this time. And so on this one, same timing again, obviously because we've got 3 pieces all being played together ultimately, or they could be. They have to have the same time signature, otherwise obviously that's not going to work. And with this one, so we're still in 6/8, and we're just playing through the 3 different chords that we have. So we start on an E, then we've got an A, back to E, then we go to the B7. This time, because we're strumming, we're going to make sure we do get the pinky finger down, 1st string, 2nd fret. So try and make sure that happens. Then you come back to the A again, and then an E, and then finally back to the B7. Then we repeat, and eventually we finish on an E chord. So I'll shout the changes out as we go. Our strumming idea is we're going to play a bass note, so beat 1, for example on the E chord it would be the 6th string, so it's bottom E there, beat 1, nothing on 2, and we go up on 3, down on 4, nothing on 5, up on 6. And you get this kind of, that sort of rhythm. I can't remember if I mentioned it previously, but if you remember the old nursery rhyme Humpty Dumpty, and just think of the words, not the whole thing, but just Humpty Dumpty itself, that sort of Humpty Dumpty, Humpty Dumpty. That's the rhythm that we're playing. Okay, so just to demonstrate, and remember, like, some people like using words, some people don't. I actually do, but yeah. So you might look at me and think I'm going bonkers, but it does help, I think. So Okay, so this is what it would sound like with that rhythm. So we'd go Humpty Dumpty, Humpty Dumpty, Humpty Dumpty, Humpty Dumpty. So we're using something that I assume you probably know, and taking the rhythm that will become, that's sort of buried in the subconscious, if you like, and it's very instinctive, hopefully, and then we're just applying chords to that rhythm. So that's why using words from familiar kind of songs can really be helpful. So anyway, I've waffled on, let's give it a go. So exercise 12 then. So after 6, I'll shout the chords out. I might say Humpty Dumpty every now and again as well. Let's see how we go. Okay, so here we go, after 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. E. Again, back to beginning in E. Humpty Dumpty, Humpty Dumpty, Humpty Dumpty in A. And back to E. Then our B7. Okay, cool. So, again, give yourself a pat on the back if that went well. So it's, yeah, chords are kind of, they're difficult to begin with. Once you've got the shapes down, they never change, so they become very easy. But, you know, it's getting from the start to where they're really easy just takes a bit of time. So just give yourself a bit of leeway if you're struggling with any of those changes at all. Hopefully saying Humpty Dumpty helps with the rhythm a little bit. If it did, let me know. Or if you prefer just counting it, or if you prefer just, you know, getting the feel and just going with that, and that's fine as well. So as long as you get to play, you know, as long as you play the right thing, it doesn't really matter what's going on in your head. You just got to play the right thing, basically. So yeah, hopefully that's all gone well. And we're going to have a look at this next idea then. So swing rhythm and triplets. So looking at page 10 of GuitarQuest 4 then, basically a triplet is where we squeeze 3 notes into the space of 2. So we could have triplets on any type of beat really, but the most common ones we're likely to come across are going to be crotchets and quavers. And I think in the case of the book that, like in GuitarQuest 4, sorry, it's mainly quavers that we did. So so what that means is, if probably best if I demonstrate. So looking at exercise 13, we'll come back to a little bit more of that explanation in a minute. No, we'll do the explanation now, sorry. I'll demonstrate in just a second. So we've got the examples there. So we've got crotchet triplets, quaver triplets, and then semiquaver triplets. So obviously crotchet triplet would be 3 crotchets in the space of 2, so 3 notes spread over 2 beats. 3 quavers in the space of 2 is 3 notes spread over 1 beat. So remembering 2 quavers makes up 1 beat. I'm thinking this in 4/4 time as well, I should clarify. And then if we've got semiquaver triplets, that's going to be 3 semiquavers in the space of 2. So it's 3 notes in the space of half a beat. And then it stands to reason probably that you'd quite often have 2 sets of semiquaver triplets together, which could be described as a sextuplet, and so that's then 6 notes in the space of 4, but now taking up 1 beat, because 4 semiquavers would make up 1 beat, as we hopefully know. So hopefully that makes sense. So that's triplets. Then when we talk about a swing rhythm, so if you see at the bottom of the page, in fact if I just bring that up on the screen here, there's this symbol down here. That's our symbol that tells us that we are playing with swing. So you've got 2 quavers and then this thing here, so it's a triplet, but one's a crotchet and one's a quaver. So effectively what that means is that when we have a pair of quavers, the first one lasts for the first 2 beats of the triplet, i.e. 2/3 of the beat, and then the second one is the 3rd triplet, or a third of the beat. So hopefully that makes sense. And the thing to know as well with triplets is it's more of a feel kind of, sorry, with swing feel, it's more of a feel kind of thing. So you know, people might play it slightly differently. People will play it slightly differently. You know, you might hang on the first note a little bit longer, or not. You know, so so that's something to be aware of. And then at the bottom of the page there's a way of counting it. Again, whether you choose to do this or you can just use the Humpty Dumpty phrase again, whatever works. But say just on the bottom E, you could go 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, or Humpty Dumpty. Kind of get the idea, hopefully. So that's our rhythm. That's our swing rhythm. This sort of now on the top E string, we go. So that swing, if you were playing any chords, for example, you might, you know, so you can hear that. If I was to play that straight, just to give you the comparison, you get, so you can hear very different sounding. So that's so it's that sort of offbeat kind of jolty feel that we're looking to pick up in the swing time thing. So now let's go to number 13 and let's have a think about this rhythm. So we have, again, I'll just bring it up on the screen actually, just so we can make that a bit clearer. So we're in 4/4. We've got that symbol up the top telling us we've got swing going on. So beat 1. So it's a crotchet. That's just beat 1, nothing to really be thinking about there. Then as we come onto these 2 here, this is where the swing kicks in. So we're going to go like 2 triplet, 3 triplet for those 2 there, or those 2 beats I should say. And then we get the triplet at the end, so that would be 4 triplet and playing all 3 notes. Then in the second bar we've got the swung quavers, then a triplet, swung quavers, and then a crotchet. So hopefully that idea makes sense. So we're going to play it together, but I'll demonstrate it first and we'll try it together. So this is how it should sound. So after 4, we go 3, 4, so 1, Humpty Dumpty, 4 triplet. We're going to repeat. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that gives us practice on triplets and swung quavers as well. So that's the idea, and that's what we're going to have a go at. So let's try it together. Don't worry if this doesn't go very well now. You know, that's where the practice will come in, obviously. So yeah, let's try it. So after 4, we'll go a little bit slower than that. Okay, so 3, 4. Okay, so that's how it should sound. Well done if you managed to play along and get that feel straight away. That'd be amazing if you did. That, although it's a very basic example, there is I have got a recording of that on my YouTube channel as well. So just go and check out the backing tracks and that kind of thing. And yeah, it will just, you know, if for example you're struggling to get a feel for the rhythm, it might just help remind you of what it should sound like. But let's move on. I'm going to go on to number 14. So with this particular one, we still have the symbol at the top of the score there with the quavers and the triplet thing telling us we've got swing. So so we want to watch out for that. We have a key signature with one F sharp in it, well, with an F sharp in it. So all our Fs throughout the piece will be sharp. I'm not even sure there are any, to be perfectly honest, but that's something to just keep an eye out for. And there are a few accidentals in there. So what I mean by that is notes that wouldn't necessarily expect it to be in there. So if we've got only an F sharp in there, you wouldn't expect any other notes to be anything other than natural notes. But we've got a G sharp in there, there's a C sharp, and there's also an E flat later on. So so we want to just kind of watch out for those as they come along. And remember, when you see a sharp on one note in a bar, it lasts until the end of the bar and then reverts back to its natural state for the next bar. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. So I think we'll just have a go at the first couple of lines. We'll take it fairly slow, and yeah, I'd imagine we'll probably just do the first two lines today, and then we'll finish it off next week. But looking at the beginning, then we've got starting on a D, lasts for 3 beats. So it's 1, 2, 3. And we go D to B, but they're swung, so it's that second quaver that's moving a little bit. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3. Then B to D, so kind of just flips the other way. Open E, G sharp, first string, 4th fret. Then we've got our swung quavers again, so E to D, and then B to C, and then back to B. And you probably want to, you know, if you were struggling with that, think of that as a little phrase. So you could go, so don't sort of treat, say bar 3 was difficult, don't play that in isolation, do the little bit either side of it as well to kind of make that phrase feel more complete. So let me just play that to you. So up to the first note of the 4th bar there. So we're starting on the D, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, G sharp, 2, 3, and then we carry on. We've got B, B, C, B there, again with the swung quavers. Then we hit the A at the start of bar 5. 2, 3, so the first half of beat 3, or I should say maybe the first 2/3 of beat 3, because we're thinking with swing, that's tied, so it's 1, 2, 3, B, C, B, up to the D, same kind of timing, so it's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and so E, C, second string, 1st fret, and open B. And then as we come on to bar 6, just a G, so beat 1, then swung, then G sharp, remember that G sharp lasts to the end of the bar, so that bar 7 there is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the next bar we come up to the 2nd fret for the A, and then we're going to go C, 2nd string, 1st fret, back to the A, and if you're confident you could hold both of those notes down at the same time, just so your fingers don't have to think quite as much, and then at the end we're going to hit a C sharp, and I've suggested using the 3rd finger, so we can play that kind of thing, and again you could hold that middle finger down if you like, or not, because of the nature of the tune, especially once you pick the speed up, holding that note down is probably not going to make a huge amount of difference. But if it was me, I probably would, just because it might make a bit of difference and it might just help to flow that a little bit more again. So, okay, so let me play to you the first 2 lines. I'll count you in, so if you want to play along, give it a go, and then we'll see how we get on. So, Okay, so after 4, starting on the D, you take nice and slow. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we repeat, so you end up back on that D at the start. Okay, so yeah, you repeat that, you go back to the beginning, play the first 6 bars, and then you go to the second time bar, so we'll have a quick look at these just to finish off with. So bars 9 and 10, so the third line, so you drop down to the G, and then a couple more, and then A, B, A, G. So that bar again, so it's G, 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 A, B, A, G, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm going to put the song on. Bring music up onto the screen. We'll just listen to the first half of it, so the bit we just played, and it will just give you a feel for what it hopefully should sound like, you know, particularly when you've got all the backing and everything going. So here we go. I hope you enjoy it. So this is number 14. So yeah, here we go. Okay, cool. And then obviously it carries on into the next section. So we'll come on to the next section next week. So yeah, that gives us, gives you an introduction to swing and hopefully plenty to be practicing. Obviously, if you feel confident, then you can continue with the rest of it, and you know we'll go over it in a lot more detail next week. But yeah, if you're feeling confident, just go for it. So. And that is a good place for us to finish up for today, I think. So, if you enjoyed the lesson, please do give it a thumbs up. I'll be back again, same sort of time next week. And things to practice, just to say, actually I kind of forgot to do a warm up today. So we'll go back to doing our chromatics. Just a quick demonstration. We did these the other week. That kind of thing. So we'll do a little bit on that next week as a bit of a warm up. We might go back over exercise 12 just to practice our chord strumming a little bit, and then we'll go over 13 again just to make sure the swing rhythm's falling into place, and then number 14 we'll finish that off. Almost seeing what we're going to do next week. But yeah, so we want to be practicing exercise 12, exercise 13 and the first half of exercise 14, and we'll finish that off next week. So hopefully that makes sense, and yeah, I'll say, if you enjoyed the lesson, please let me know, and I'll look forward to seeing you all next week. So have a brilliant week, best luck with all the practice, and I will see you soon. Alright, take care everybody, bye bye.